You finish dinner, brush your teeth, turn off the lights, and crawl into bed. The day is done, and you're ready for a peaceful night's sleep. But then, sometime after midnight, it happens again. A sharp stabbing pain rips through your leg. Your calf clenches like a fist, hard as a rock. You sit up, gasping, trying to stretch it out while wincing in the dark. Another night, another leg cramp. Sound familiar? For millions of people over 50, nighttime leg cramps aren't just random, they're routine. And while there are many causes, here's something most people never consider. The foods you eat at dinner, or even after dinner, could be making those cramps worse. Yes, really. Even if you think you're eating healthy, certain meals or snacks can dehydrate your body, throw off your mineral balance, and silently set the stage for cramps while you sleep. It's not always about what you're missing. Sometimes it's about what you're taking in too much of without even realizing it. I once worked with someone in their 60s who couldn't figure out why they kept waking up with painful cramps in both legs. They drank water stretched, even took supplements. But after digging a little deeper, we found the culprit a seemingly harmless bowl of soup before bed loaded with sodium. Once they changed that habit, the cramps almost completely disappeared. So today, we're pulling back the curtain on 5 foods you should avoid eating at night if you struggle with leg cramps. Some of these might surprise you because they're often thought of as comfort foods or even healthy options. But when eaten at the wrong time, especially in the evening, they can work against your muscles instead of helping them. If you've tried everything, hydration, stretching, even medication, but you're still waking up in pain, this video could finally give you the answer. Let's talk about what might really be happening on your plate, and how a few small changes can lead to quieter, cramp-free nights. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for number 5. It's a food that shows up on a lot of healthy lists, and many people over 50 eat it, thinking it helps them sleep. But it could actually be triggering more cramps than it prevents, especially if you eat it too close to bedtime. While you're here, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the rest of our cramp-free living series, because when you know better, you can sleep better. Let's start with one of the biggest hidden triggers for nighttime leg cramps: sodium-packed processed foods. You might think, come on, I don't even eat chips or fast food that often. But here's the thing. Sodium isn't just in the obvious junk. It hides in foods that many people, especially older adults, still consider convenient or comforting. Think canned soups, frozen dinners, deli meats, pre-packaged sauces, even those healthy instant oatmeal cups. And one of the worst offenders, instant noodles before bed. Why is sodium such a problem? Sodium is essential in small amounts. It helps your nerves send signals and keeps fluids balanced. But when you consume too much, especially at night, it throws off the delicate balance between sodium and potassium in your muscles. Potassium helps muscles relax. Sodium in excess stiffens things up and increases water retention, making your muscles more prone to cramping, especially during sleep when circulation slows. Here's the science. When sodium levels are too high, your kidneys try to flush out the excess by pulling water from other parts of the body. This process can dehydrate your muscles even if you've been drinking water during the day. Dehydrated muscles are stiff, irritated, and far more likely to cramp. Now, picture this scenario. You've had a long day, you don't feel like cooking, so you heat up a can of soup or microwave a frozen dinner. It's quick, easy, and seems harmless. But that meal could have over 1,000 milligrams of sodium, sometimes more than half your daily recommended intake in one sitting. Then, a few hours later, you're in bed, and the pain hits. It's not just theory. A study from the Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who consumed a high-sodium meal in the evening were 30% more likely to experience nighttime muscle cramps than those who ate balanced meals. What's worse is that sodium affects circulation too. High sodium intake can constrict your blood vessels, making it harder for oxygen and nutrients to reach your muscles. Poor circulation is a major factor in cramping, especially in the legs and feet. So, what should you do? First, check your labels even on foods you think are healthy. Look for low-sodium versions of canned soup or broth, and aim for meals with less than 500 milliliters of sodium per serving. Better yet, prep simple meals in bulk like roasted vegetables with grilled chicken or brown rice bowls with steamed greens. You control the salt. You control the outcome. And if you're craving something warm before bed, swap that instant noodle cup for a homemade veggie soup using low-sodium broth. Or sip on a calming tea like chamomile or peppermint to relax your system without stressing your muscles. It may not seem like a big change, but for people over 50, small choices around sodium can have a huge impact, not just on cramps, but on blood pressure, hydration, and overall muscle function. Here's a rule of thumb to remember. If it comes in a package and has a shelf life longer than your vacation, check the sodium. Because the more sodium you take in at night, the higher the odds your legs will pay for it later. Fried and greasy foods like fried chicken, French fries, or deep-fried snacks. Let's talk about another common trap. Fried and greasy foods. They might be tasty, comforting, or even part of a family tradition. But when it comes to leg cramps, they're one of the worst things you can put on your plate, especially in the evening. Have you ever noticed that after a heavy, greasy dinner, maybe some fried chicken, or a plate of French fries, you feel bloated, sluggish, or thirsty? That's not just digestion slowing down. It's your body struggling to process and recover, and unfortunately, your muscles are caught in the middle of it. Here's why fried foods are a problem. They're typically high in inflammatory fats like trans fats or excessive saturated fats. These fats don't just clog arteries, they also interfere with how your body absorbs essential minerals like magnesium and potassium. And without those minerals, muscles lose their ability to relax properly. They stay tense longer. They cramp more easily. Add poor circulation to the mix, another side effect of a high-fat diet, and you've got a perfect storm for nighttime cramps. Let's look at the science. When you eat greasy food, it slows down digestion. That may sound harmless, but it means your body takes longer to absorb nutrients, including the ones your muscles desperately need to function well. Not only that, but greasy meals often come with extra salt, which, as we just covered, throws off fluid balance and contributes to dehydration. Worse yet, the heaviness of fried foods can interfere with deep restorative sleep, another factor that affects muscle recovery and increases your risk of spasms. Now, imagine this. It's Friday night, you're relaxing, maybe watching TV, and you decide to treat yourself to something fried. You go to bed full, but not uncomfortable. Then around 2 a.m., you wake up calf-locked, tight toes curled in pain. That's satisfying dinner. It may have set you up for a painful night. But don't worry, this isn't about giving up everything you love. It's about timing balance and smarter swaps. If you love crispy textures or savory bites, try baking instead of deep frying. A piece of baked chicken with herbs can still feel indulgent without the grease overload. Craving something crunchy? Roast sweet potato wedges with olive oil instead of grabbing that bag of fries. And most importantly, avoid heavy, greasy meals within 3 hours of bedtime. Give your body time to digest and rebalance before you lie down. Fried food might satisfy your taste buds for a moment, but for people over 50, the cost to your muscles, sleep, and circulation just isn't worth it. Especially if you're already dealing with leg cramps on a regular basis. Here's a simple truth. When your body is working overtime to process junk, it can't focus on repairing muscle. And that's when the cramps sneak in. Sugary desserts and refined sweets like cakes, pastries, or candy. After dinner, It's tempting to grab a little something sweet, maybe a slice of pie, a scoop of ice cream, or a couple of cookies. You've earned it right. But here's the thing. If leg cramps are bothering you at night, refined sugar could be a silent culprit hiding in your dessert plate. It might sound surprising. After all, how could something like a piece of cake cause your calf to cramp hours later? Let's unpack it. When you eat foods loaded with refined sugar desserts, pastries, candies, your blood sugar spikes quickly. And when that sugar rush fades, your insulin kicks in and tries to bring everything back to balance. This roller coaster not only messes with your energy and mood, it also impacts your mineral levels. How? Because when insulin levels rise rapidly after a sugar hit, your kidneys may excrete more magnesium and potassium, two of the most critical minerals for muscle relaxation. In other words, your dessert could be draining the very nutrients that keep your muscles calm. There's also the issue of inflammation. Refined sugar is known to promote chronic inflammation in the body. And when your muscles are inflamed, they become more sensitive, tense, and prone to spasms. Add to that the fact that sugary foods can disrupt sleep, especially if eaten late in the evening and you have a recipe for discomfort. You might fall asleep just fine. But by 3 a.m., your body's in recovery mode, low on minerals, and boom, there it is again. That sharp burning cramp in your calf or foot, jolting you out of your rest. Here's another issue. Many desserts contain not just sugar, but also hidden sodium and saturated fat, creating a triple whammy effect on your body's balance. A scoop of ice cream, for instance, might seem harmless. But when paired with low hydration and slow circulation, it can tip your system into cramp territory. So, what can you do? First, cut back on sugary treats in the evening, especially within 2 to 3 hours of bedtime. If you crave dessert, try healthier alternatives that contain natural sugars and added nutrients. For example, a small bowl of Greek yogurt with berries, a baked apple with cinnamon, a few squares of 70% dark chocolate in moderation. These options offer sweetness, but also fiber, antioxidants, and even magnesium, helping you satisfy the craving without sabotaging your muscles. Also, watch for hidden sugar in things like flavored yogurt, granola bars, or fruit juices. Always check the labels, because even foods marketed as healthy can sneak in more sugar than you think. Here's the bottom line. Sugar might feel like a treat, but for your muscles, it can be a trick, especially if you're over 50 and already dealing with issues like muscle tightness, restless legs, or poor circulation. That sweet ending to your meal might come at a painful cost. If better sleep, fewer cramps, and more energy matter to you, maybe that dessert can wait till morning. Caffeine in the evening, coffee, strong tea, dark chocolate. Let's move on to a hidden trigger that catches a lot of people by surprise. Caffeine consumed too late in the day. You might be thinking, wait, I drink decaf. Or I only have tea in the evening, not coffee. But here's the thing. Even mild caffeine sources like black tea, green tea, or dark chocolate can have lingering effects, especially for people over 50. Caffeine is a natural stimulant. It wakes you up, sharpens your focus, and keeps your mind alert. That's great in the morning, but in the evening it becomes a problem not just for your sleep, but for your muscles. Let's break it down. First, caffeine is a diuretic. It increases fluid loss through urination. And when you lose fluids, your body also loses electrolytes like potassium and magnesium, the two mineral MVPs, for preventing muscle cramps. So even if you're drinking water throughout the day, that cup of tea after dinner, or that dark chocolate square before bed, might be enough to tip your hydration off balance just when your muscles are preparing to rest. But that's not all. Caffeine also stimulates the nervous system, keeping your muscles more alert, more reactive, and less relaxed. While your body is trying to wind down, caffeine keeps things on edge, including the muscle fibers that need to release tension. This becomes even more important if you're already dealing with age-related muscle stiffness or poor circulation. Because when your muscles are dry, tense, and neurologically overstimulated, they're much more likely to spasm, even hours after you've fallen asleep. Here's a true story. A woman I worked with in her early 60s had a nightly ritual, a warm cup of green tea around 9 p.m. She thought it helped her relax, but when she stopped, her leg cramps went from every night to once a week. Turns out the tea had just enough caffeine to throw her off. So what should you avoid coffee after 2 p.m.? Black tea, green tea, or oolong after dinner. Dark chocolate, especially, 70% and up, if eaten within 2 to 3 hours of bedtime. Energy drinks or soda, even the light versions which often sneak in caffeine. Now, if you enjoy the ritual of a warm drink before bed, try these caffeine-free alternatives. Chamomile tea, peppermint tea, roasted barley tea common in Japanese and Korean households, or simply warm water with lemon. These options hydrate, relax, and support digestion without stealing your minerals or waking up your nervous system. The goal isn't to quit caffeine forever. It's to time it wisely, so it serves you during the day and doesn't sabotage your muscles at night. Because remember, even small habits done consistently shape how your body feels, especially while you sleep. Instant soups and broth-heavy dishes with MSG monosodium glutamate. Let's talk about a comfort food that shows up on a lot of dinner tables, especially for folks who want something light and easy to digest at night. Soups and broths. Seems harmless, right? A bowl of warm soup before bed. Light, cozy, no heavy digestion. Sounds like the perfect way to wind down. But here's what most people don't realize. Many popular soups and broths, especially instant ones or restaurant-made, are loaded with MSG and hidden sodium. And that combination can silently mess with your muscle health while you sleep. MSG or monosodium glutamate is commonly used to enhance flavor in broths, bouillon cubes, instant noodle seasonings, canned soups, and even homemade soups from restaurants. While the FDA considers it generally safe, some people, especially those over 50, may be more sensitive to its effects. Here's why that matters if you're dealing with leg cramps. First, MSG acts as a neuroexcitant. It stimulates nerve activity and can lead to heightened muscle responsiveness. If your muscles are already tired or undernourished, this stimulation can increase the likelihood of involuntary spasms, particularly at night. Second, many MSG-heavy soups are also extremely high in sodium. Just one packet of instant soup or ramen can contain over 1,500 milligrams of sodium, nearly your full day's worth. As we covered earlier, high sodium levels dehydrate muscles, throw off potassium balance, and increase cramp risk. So even though that soup feels gentle, under the surface, it's not doing your legs any favors. And third, soups can give a false sense of hydration. They're liquid, yes, but salty broths don't replenish fluids like water or herbal teas do. In fact, they can leave you thirstier without realizing it, quietly draining your electrolytes. Now, here's the real kicker. Many older adults turn to soups or broths when they're trying to eat light at night, especially if digestion or appetite is an issue. But without checking the ingredients, you could be consuming a triple threat: MSG, sodium, and low actual nutrition, leaving your muscles vulnerable while you sleep. So, what can you do? Avoid instant soups and bouillons with artificial flavor enhancers. Check for MSG or flavoring on ingredient labels. Limit restaurant soups unless you know how they're made. And instead, try making your own quick broth at home using low-sodium stock. Fresh herbs and real vegetables. Add magnesium-rich ingredients like spinach or lentils. Toss in a few slices of sweet potato or a boiled egg if you want more substance without the chemical overload. Even better, swap nighttime soup altogether for a warm, calming drink like golden milk with turmeric unsweetened almond milk with cinnamon or a magnesium-rich herbal tea like lemon balm. Here's the simple truth. What feels light or easy isn't always muscle-friendly, especially if you're someone who wakes up with leg pain, twitching, or tightness. Soup might not be the friend you thought it was. You don't have to give it up completely, but understanding what's in your bowl could be the key to getting through the night without pain. We all want to sleep through the night without being jolted awake by pain. But too often, we treat cramps like a mystery, something we can't control. The truth. Your dinner plate might be one of the biggest culprits, and that's good news because it means you have the power to change it. Think about it. You might be drinking water, taking supplements, even stretching before bed, but if you're still loading up on high-sodium soups, fried food, sugary treats, or that late-night tea, you could be undoing all your hard work. The body is incredibly responsive to what we feed it, especially after 50. At this stage in life, every bite matters more. Not in a strict or scary way, but in a hopeful way. Because small changes in what you avoid at night can lead to huge changes in how you feel tomorrow morning. Let's quickly recap the 5 foods to avoid before bed if you struggle with leg cramps. Processed foods high in sodium, like canned soups, frozen dinners, and instant noodles. Fried and greasy meals, which slow digestion and block mineral absorption. Sugary desserts that drain magnesium and potassium. Caffeine, especially after dinner, which stimulates your nerves and dehydrates you. MSG heavy broths and soups that look innocent but excite your muscles and steal your minerals. None of these are bad on their own, but eaten too late or too often, they can keep your muscles stuck in a cycle of tension and pain. Tonight, maybe all you need to sleep better is to say no to that one small habit. If this video opened your eyes to something you hadn't considered before, hit that subscribe button and share it with someone you care about. Because sometimes a small shift at dinner can lead to a big difference at midnight.